Well, now that our personal dispute has been dissolved, and you've admitted that you're wrong, you've said you're sorry. We can go on with this.
It has been a while, hasn't it?
I'll never speak to you again. Joe Chaffee, Fios 1 News, Long Island, Fios 1 News, New Jersey.
And Joe Rayo, Fios 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley, for the first time since, you told me, since the 14th?
The 14th, last Thursday.
6
I know
days.
because I load the show on my weather app.
Right.
And I looked at it today, and I saw, well, we haven't done a show since the 14th.
It has been a while.
It has.
It?
So
it was such a quiet weather pattern. There really wasn't much to talk about. But now, at least
we
tomorrow,
were both kind of tired.
Oh
my God, they're just jumping out of their skin because we haven't been here for a while. My word, Tony Anthony Robertson is here. He's one person, by the way. He's not four people. He's one. Jason Schaefer, Daniel Kirby. This is your third live stream today. You got to cut down here. Junior's on, which is good. Eduardo Junior Ferrante. He goes by Junior.
Okay.
And he's a personal friend.
Yes.
And John Mazzocchi. I think I got it right.
Well. So now that all of you are here...
Yes, and more. Oh, they're looking at it. They're just piling in.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got this low for tomorrow. Today's the last day of full day of winter. Spring arrives tomorrow at what time?
No,
5?
it already arrived.
Oh, arrived today?
It arrived today. You're thinking about what so many other people used to think
yesterday's the first
March,
full day of spring.
Tomorrow's the first full day of spring.
All right, so it was at what?
5:58.
5:58.
5:58 this evening. And next year, I think I told you this little piece of information.
Yes.
Next year, spring is going to arrive for the first time in the Eastern time zone of the United States since 1896 on the 19th. We're going to have spring on the 19th of March next year. And so many people had it drummed in their head when they're going to school. It's March 21st, and now it's March 20th, and it's going to back up to March 19th next year. Vagaries of the calendar.
Yeah. That's all right, so we've got this coastal low that's coming up for tomorrow. It was a little bit of a surprise, Joe, to me earlier in the week. I thought
this thing was going to fly out.
Was going to fly out, but there's actually two of them. The first one went off Florida yesterday, and that's sitting between the Bahamas and Bermuda. And we've talked about the fact that there's been an absolute, we were kind of referring it to as a lack of storm traffic out there. And now we've got something out in the Atlantic that's sort of forcing this low, and I'll move the surface map over so everybody can see it. But it's forcing, this energy sort of got thrown back to the Carolina coast. So you're getting a surface low that's developing there, and has an alleyway now to move northward.
Right, and looks like, Joe, the first raindrops are going to be arriving probably around daybreak or shortly thereafter on Thursday. And the first part of the day tomorrow probably is not going to be, we're going to get rain, and it's going to be not so nice compared to what we had today. But, we're not talking about anything significant or heavy. But tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, that's when the rains are really going to start to rev up. And I've been saying, at least in the Hudson Valley, anywhere from like 2/3 of an inch to maybe an inch and a quarter of rain.
Yeah, I kind of went I'm a little more bullish. I went for an inch to an inch and a half, maybe a bit more for New Jersey. A little bit less for Long Island because the low looks like it's going to track like straddling the coast or just inland of the coast all the way up.
The GFS and the European were not as bullish as the NAM. The NAM really, I think in 1 6-hour period, the NAM hit us with something like 3/4 of an inch or 4/10 of an inch of rain.
Well, the signature on the satellite tonight is actually pretty good. Going past sunset, but if you look at the last frames before the sunset, there's a nice looking comma-shaped swirl there sitting off the North Carolina coast.
Right.
And, the radar, in fact, getting a bit more developed here. Let me just refresh this to get a fresh image, and we'll go close up. So you got a blossoming area of rain. I kind of think, by the way, the lead rain comes up tomorrow morning. It probably won't amount to too much.
Right.
And some areas, it may, I'm thinking possibly even for central or eastern Long Island, it may stop. It may not rain very much at all until later in the afternoon and tomorrow night when the core of this moves up from the south. It's not a half bad looking radar here. that's showing up here off the North Carolina coast.
Yeah, I'd say between 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and 2 o'clock Friday morning, that 12-hour interval, is where we're going to see the rains really come down at a moderate, possibly even a heavy clip. And I'm not sure about flooding issues. Certainly, we don't have to worry about what they have out in the western United States in terms of snow melt.
Or up in the plains, nor is it like a year ago when we had we were just getting ready for the fourth nor'easter,
right,
which brought almost 20 inches of snow to my house in central Long Island, and up to a foot of snow in parts of New Jersey. So we don't have a deep snow cover that we're waiting to melt away. It's been dry the last 5 days. I mean,
thank
Saturday,
God.
Sunday, Monday, 5 days. We haven't seen anything since last Friday with the thunderstorms.
The thing that makes it memorable last year's 4 Easters for me was the number of days that I was without power, at least in my hometown of Putnam Valley. And in fact, on one of those occasions, I don't know if it was storm number 3 or storm number 4, the governor actually held a news conference in, quote, downtown Putnam Valley, talking about how things needed to be changed in terms of the electrical lines, and
because they didn't get these storms back in 1820 when they were putting candles out to light the way.
Exactly, precisely.
Okay, so the fact that we no longer are on standard time means that we do not have a new NAM to look at. So we do have the one from late this afternoon, and I don't know, Joe. I first of all, unlike some models that, well, the Canadian in particular, I point to that because the Canadian had this absolute wrapped up animal off the coast, and I think it had to do with the fact of how it was handling, the upper air in a completely different and very unlikely way, because it kind of kicked the low out to the east and then turned it north, and had more of a phase.
For tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning, they had like a 967 millibar low south of Montauk.
Well, here's the NAM. You get this comma signature on the satellite just kind of lifting up and northward. And by the way, in elevated areas like in the Catskills, on up through the Adirondacks, and in parts of upstate New York, up I-81 from Binghamton to Syracuse, this is going to be probably rain going over to snow at some point. So there might be some elevation-driven snows way up to the north. I don't think that's an issue here. And then, of course, the other thing is that the wind is going to be a big deal here, I think. Not so much Friday during the day, because you got to wait for that upper trough to come through. But Friday night into at least the first part of Saturday, will be blowing away at
it's going to be
20 to 35.
A blustery, windy, chilly day. Temperatures will be in the mid-40s on your thermometer, but it's going to feel every bit of mid-30s or low 30s. And you think about it, the St. Patrick's Day Parade was this past Saturday, and they had pretty nice weather for that. Thank goodness they didn't decide to have it this Saturday, because they'd be parading right into that roaring gale.
And St. Joey's Day was very good too.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yes.
By the way, I noticed something, because I know you're very big on the Omega thing.
Right.
So I pulled up. This is for Friday afternoon. So, well, I'll roll it back. This is what it looks like through Thursday, and now it looks to me like the risk of a thunderstorm being embedded in this kind of, it looks fairly strong tomorrow afternoon off the Delaware coast, but then it sort of weakens as it goes northward. I'm looking at Friday afternoon when that really cold upper trough swings through. I just wonder, not a thunderstorm so much. I'm not thinking about that, but there might be actually a decent line of showers later Friday afternoon into Friday evening.
Oh, no question. Kind of like the backlash or the backwash effect of the actual storm, which by then will be up well north and east of our area. And then that opens the door to those very potent winds that we're anticipating for Saturday. And as amazingly as Saturday is going to be a chilly and windy and blustery and not so great day to be out of doors, very quickly the winds will abate probably Saturday night, and Sunday looks every bit like what we had here today. A beautiful, bright, sunny day with pleasantly mild temperatures in the middle 50s.
I think there's a shot on Sunday, Joe. I think that it might run up to 60 or better in some spots. If we get sunshine all day, it looks like the winds go westerly after sunrise, and if they turn west, I think that'll be enough to take temperatures up to 60 or better.
It's been known to happen in the early spring.
By the way, the wind map on the NAM has these are sustained winds of 20 to 30 along the New Jersey shore, and over Long Island it has every bit of 20 to 35. So I mean, this says to me, gusts into the 40s are probably likely.
In fact, the GFS-X, the extended tabular winds, whenever you see the winds on that particular model, or that tabular form, several days out, and it does this for Saturday, 20-25 sustained, which you don't often see. That pretty much tells you the winds are going to be very active, and 40 miles an hour, maybe more, during the day on Saturday.
Okay, so since everybody's probably seen it or heard it with regards to early next week, so what we have is a cold front dropping down from the north with a big cold high pressing down from Canada. There's a wave that's going to be developing on that front, and that's the question is, does the cold front come through here first and then the wave, or does the wave go by first and then the cold front? So you have the models are going to go back and forth on this between now and Saturday. So I don't think it's even worth spending a whole lot of time on it.
Well, the GFS has been making a lot out of this, but the European was bone dry with that front and the way, and they kept the wave south of us. So,
well, that's just it. This could over suppress. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. The other thing is, be very careful when you look at these maps, because when you look at the area of blue that's supposed to signify snow, and then you look at how much precip is being generated, it doesn't even really show anything in terms of what's on the, even on the snow maps, which love to make 6 to 12 inches out of nothing.
Right.
Not showing very much at all. I'm just not really, from the standpoint of, maybe one last gasp for snow lovers. I really think that this is just going to be a front with some showers ahead of it. It's going to be very warm, I think, on Monday too, with a west-southwest wind. If we get some sun, who knows? It might go well up into the 60s, and then the temperatures will fall. Whatever happens, happens. This is from earlier today, where the high dropped more. I'm sorry, this is from late this afternoon, which had a little bit more of a slightly bullish look for a little bit of snow Monday night into Tuesday morning, and I'm telling you, it won't amount to much of anything.
Yeah.
Because it takes the wave up to our north.
But suppose we do get snow.
It's gone by afternoon anyway.
But I mean, how much of that is going to stick, considering that we're talking about near 60 possibly on Sunday, another warm day on Monday. The paved surfaces are just absolutely going to be too warm for that. If anything happens, it would happen on the grass or maybe on the top of some cars. But even
that's it. I just again, this is from earlier today, which had a wave. The run earlier today kind of implied that the front would come through around the time that the wave would go by, as opposed to late this afternoon, where it has the wave going by first and then the front going through.
Well,
so look, 9 times out of the 10, it winds up being, it rains, the rain ends, it shuts off, and you don't get much of anything. And that's what I would. And then after that, it doesn't matter. You know why, Joe? The high goes off to our south. Look at these southwest isobars for later next week. It's going to warm up, quite a bit toward the end of next week anyway. So I just put it out there.
Well, there's still people out there who are still desperate and would like to have one more shot at.
Well, here's the thing, and you and I haven't really talked about this, but as a rule, you and I both, we don't even talk to each other when we're doing our forecast, and we sit right across from each other. And that's not because, he's a horrible person and he never cared about me. All he ever wanted was supper on the table, no responsibility. It's not because of that.
You know as well as I that after we get through about 3/4 of 80 or 90% of our I will lean over and I'll say, "What do you got for Monday?"
Did you put showers in for Monday? Yes. Did you put snow in for Monday? No.
No.
You know, or the other way around.
And then very quickly I take my pencil and
no, as I, you and I are both, we're doing what we're doing. We're scouring, social media during the day after we're all done, and we see what other people are seeing. And I have, posts. I'll see posts up, and this storm, this snow map, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I like how Addison does it. I'll be working and doing a thing, and Addison will come up from behind me.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. We're getting our studio is falling apart.
You're tearing the set apart, for God's sake. Go on.
Addison will come up behind me and he'll tap me on the shoulder, and I'll look at him and say, "Yeah, what?" And then all of a sudden he'll move his screen. So
right now,
and he'll point.
And I'm on the opposite side of all of this.
I'm looking. I said, "Yeah," and then it sinks in like what he's trying to communicate with. So he doesn't say anything. He just,
Well, that's because everybody else just lives in fear over what we think for some reason. I don't know. I've created this aura that they have to come for the seal of approval when it comes to snow forecast, which is the farthest thing from the truth, sort of.
Sort of.
Well, anyway, my point was this: how many times do you have to see the parallel GFS model print out a snowstorm and get it wrong before you realize that you're wasting your time? Okay, it's to me, Joe. To me, I don't care what happens Monday or Tuesday. That's not the point, because it's not forecasting to do that. To me, it's the equivalent of banging your head on the table, thinking that it's going to get rid of your headache. Okay? And you just keep banging it and banging it and banging it. That's what they say is the definition of insanity.
Yes.
When you keep doing something that you know is not going to achieve the result of what you're looking for. So I really don't understand it. And this has been going on now for the last couple of weeks, where models have been doing all this silliness in their medium and long range. And every day, it's the same thing. I mean, I don't know. I just shake my head at all of that.
Now, when are we supposed to make the conversion over to the parallel GFS?
Not till late August now. It's been pushed back because I think they heard there's a rumor that there's something wrong with it, that it doesn't work right. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But my overall point is, and I think this creates so much confusion. Believe me, the last thing I want to do is constantly, answering email messages from folks saying that, well, I heard from, and then they mention whatever, speakeasy dive weather place that they hang out. I heard that there's a nor'easter coming and all this, and I just wish it would just stop. I don't know. I'm just venting now. The winter is over. 4 months of venting over 20 inches of snow for the whole season.
Really, this is kind of odd, because we know what we went through, and yet this is the bookend, at least for Central Park, for example. It's the bookend winter, I call it, because we had one big snowfall, significant snowfall in mid-November, and then we had that one on that Sunday night in the first few days of March. Mm-hmm. And we had a smattering here and there in February. We had virtually nothing in December and January. And yet it turned out to be something, we've had some winters where we've had like 5 inches and 10 inches or whatever like that, 12 inches. This is going to come out to be what, 20 inches? Or
for New York City, 20 inches, which is a little over 5 inches below the 30-year average.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, as far as subpar years are concerned, where you and I have been through the 2, the 5-inch, the 8-inch, the 7-inch winters.
Right.
This was actually, as it turned out, not all that subpar.
Yeah.
For coastal areas, it was to some degree, but go inland 50 to 75 miles, and they had a nice game of catch up toward the end.
Now, if you look at it from the standpoint of meteorological winter, from December 1st to February 28th, the amount would be a lot smaller. You take out of the equation the November and the March snowfalls, But they don't play it that way.
No. Well, I think it was less than 3 inches for the December, January, February time.
And we've mentioned this before. There have been some winters where we haven't had any significant snow until March. Then we get bombed with one big. Blah.
Yeah, Matt Steckler pointing out that for some areas, and this is true particularly where I am in central Long Island, we had more snow last year on this day than we had the whole winter.
Right.
So I think I had about 14 or 15 for the whole winter, and I had 19 from the last the 4 nor'easters last year for me. Trace, 3 inches, 10 inches, and 19. It was the snowiest.
March.
The snow was it? I'm sorry. Let me go back. Let me correct that. Trace 6. 10, 19. So I had 35 inches for the whole month, which was the snowiest March in my 30 years that I've been out, 32 years that I've been out there.
Right.
And I went back and looked at Brookhaven Labs, which I'm not too far from, although there are times when I could be all snow and they could be pouring rain. But that wound up being snowier than I think any of the other Marches that they had going back to 1947.
And then you had that one storm a few years back where you had the whole 35 inches in one big lump.
Yes, that was the Snowmageddon storm of February 2013. Flowers starting to bloom at Adam Hewitt's place. Well, that's good. They're doing, the plants do what they're supposed to do. And Bob Wilson wants to know, has Terrence Cardinal Fitzgerald, or Brian Fitzgerald, is the snow on his property melted away yet?
I can't believe that he lives at 1,000 foot elevation.
Yeah, he's 1,000 up.
That is incredible. I thought my property is 425, which is just about the altitude of, I think, Janes Hill in Long Island. Not Bald Hill. Bald Hill is not the highest. It's a place called Janes Hill on the outskirts of Huntington.
Huntington, right? That's the Bald Hill is 440.
Really?
Yeah, it's 440.
Okay.
I thought it was the highest. I thought it was higher than Janes.
I always thought Bald Hills, but I looked it up in Janes Hill.
Do you know what the elevation was at Janes Hill is?
It's a few feet higher than Bald Hill.
Okay.
So.
Well, they used to actually have skiing out in Suffolk County near Bald Hill.
Wow.
There's still remnants of the ski lift on some of the land that's on the side of the hill. This is going back. This is before I got there. We're going back in the early 80s and the 70s.
It must be interesting, though, where Brian lives. I mean, every time he goes home, he probably has to chew gum or else his ear is going to pop.
1,000 feet up. I have one of my regulars, by the way, who's up in the Catskills. He's 2,800 feet up.
Oh,
so he might see something from this, some of this stuff that gets elevation.
It's possible. Well, 1,000 feet up, though, that's what, a dry 80 about, that's 3.5 degrees for every 1,000 feet or whatever, so...
Yeah, so it might play. All right, so we'll get the rain tomorrow and tomorrow night. We'll wash Thursday away. Friday, we start the turbulence with the upper trough coming through, some late day showers, maybe some sun early on, and then the winds will be cranking Friday night and Saturday. Sunday looks good. Monday, we've got another cold front coming through. In all, just Joe, to sum it up, I mean, from what I'm seeing in terms of the pattern going forward, this is really this looks like typical early spring.
Right.
It's different from last year. I think it might be different from the last 4 or 5 years where we've had these sort of extended winters going into April.
So you're not.
I'm thinking more volatility, higher highs, higher lows.
And you're not concerned about the fact that last week I think you wheeled out the fat lady for winter.
No, no, I'm not at all.
All right.
This would have been a system like the one for tomorrow. If this were last year, this would have been one that would have been snow. It's not there.
It's just not.
It's not there.
This year was not the year.
Nope, it certainly wasn't. All right, let's let it go here, folks. So I'll be at the top of the hour. Fios One News Long Island and Fios One News New Jersey.
And I'll be at the Fios One News Weather Center for Lower Hudson. That's what we have to do now. We have to say Fios One
News Weather Center.
Weather Center.
Gotcha.
Lower Hudson Valley.
All right, very good. So he'll be there. I'll be at mine,
Over there.
and we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.